welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to take these really dense topics and, just distill them down into what you actually need to know.
Yep.
And today, you asked us to look at the Certified Data Associate exam, specifically Module 5, the section on issues.
Right, and I have to say, it sounds like maybe the most boring topic imaginable. Issues.
Yeah.
We all know what an issue is, right?
Yeah.
It's where you go to complain that a button is broken or the site crashed.
That is the trap. That is the massive
linguistic curveball here. Because you hear issue and you immediately think bug report, complaint box.
But that's just not what it is.
Yeah.
In modern development, and especially in a system
Like GitLab, that word issue is a profound misnomer.
It really is.
And this is the absolute core concept you need to internalize right away. An issue isn't a problem. It is the fundamental unit of work.
The unit of work.
It's the single container that holds everything about a task. It doesn't matter if that task is proposing a huge new feature, or debugging a tiny visual glitch, or even just documenting a decision.
So it's not just a to-do list item, it's more like the official folder for every single action related to that task.
Exactly. The sources call it the single source of truth, which is a perfect description. All the activity, all the conversation, it all has to live there.
And that's really our mission for this deep dive. We are going to break down the anatomy of this container. We'll go way past just the title and description and get into the metadata.
The powerful stuff. The tracking tags that turn an issue from just a passive
document into the engine that actually drives the whole workflow.
If you master the issue, you master the flow.
That's it.
Okay, so let's unpack this engine piece by piece.
If the title is the first thing we have to talk about is categorization. How do we sort all this work?
Right, because you could have thousands of these things. That's where labels come in, and they replace those old rigid folder structures.
So instead of putting a file in one folder, you can tag it with multiple things.
Exactly. You can give a single issue multiple labels at once. It could be a bug, a front end, and also say priority high.
But I've been in projects where that just becomes a mess. A swamp of tags. You end up with like 20 issues labeled doing and 15 labeled in progress, and nobody knows which one is the real status.
That mess is precisely why you need this key technical nugget we found. The real game changer for workflow hygiene is something called scoped labels.
The ones with the double colon, like status steering.
That's the one. That double colon syntax tells the system that only one label from that scope, from the status
Scope can be active at any time.
So it's like a set of radio buttons instead of checkboxes.
Perfect analogy. You can't be both on and off. It's one or the other.
So if I apply the label status review to an issue,
the system automatically looks for any other status label on that issue like status doing and just removes it instantly.
So it actively enforces a clean state. It's impossible to have an issue that's marked as both done and still working on.
It completely eliminates that whole category of human error. It keeps your data clean without anyone having to go in and do manual cleanup. I mean, this one detail is often what separates a messy project from a really tight one.
That's a huge difference. It's building the discipline right into the tool. Okay, so we know what the task is, we know its status. Now we need the who. Who's actually doing the work?
That's your assignee. Simple as that. The assignee is the single person who is ultimately accountable for moving that piece of work forward.
so one person, one point of responsibility.
That's the core idea. The sources do mention that some of the higher tier plans allow for multiple assignees, but the principle is the same.
Responsibility has to be crystal clear.
Okay, so we have the what, the status, and the who. But a task without a deadline is just a wish, right? We need the when.
And that brings us to milestones. If scope labels are for state discipline, milestones are for time discipline. They are basically a time box.
The manager's tool for herding cats.
In the best possible way, yes. A milestone is just a way to group a whole bunch of different issues that all have to be finished by one specific date.
Right, so it might correspond to a big software release or a 2-week sprint in Scrum.
Exactly. And the power isn't just the deadline itself. It's about scoping the work.
Yeah.
So if some new shiny feature request comes in and you look at the milestone and it's already full,
You know instantly you can't do it now. It has to get pushed to the next milestone.
precisely, it gives everyone
The team, management, stakeholders, a really transparent view of the workload for a specific period. It's crucial for forecasting.
Okay, but imagine you're a manager.
Your milestone has 80 issues in it. Just looking at a flat list of 80 titles is still, total chaos. We need to see it. We need to visualize the flow.
And that's where issue boards become absolutely essential. This is the interface everyone knows. a Kanban style board.
The digital sticky notes on a whiteboard.
Yeah, you've got your columns, to do, doing, maybe in review, closed, simple, visual, effective.
But here's the part that I think is really clever, the technical bit. Most people see the board and think it's just a pretty picture of the data.
Right, a report. But it's not. It's a tool to manipulate the data.
That's the key insight.
Those columns on the board are almost always mapped directly to the scope labels we were just talking about.
Meaning the visualization and the metadata are basically the same thing.
Yes. So if you're in the issue details and you manually change a label from status.isDoing to status.review,
the card on the board
Immediately jumps over to the review column.
Right. But the real magic is doing it the other way. If you're on the board and you just drag that card, that sticky note, from doing over to review.
You're not just moving a picture.
no, you are instantaneously updating the issue's underlying metadata. The system sees the move, it automatically removes the status going label and applies the status review label.
It maintains that exclusivity we talked about.
It keeps everything in sync automatically. The visual interface is a live data manipulation tool.
That's brilliant, because it means anyone can update the status. A project manager, a stakeholder, they don't need to know any commands. They just drag the card.
It democratizes the whole process,
Yeah.
but it keeps the data integrity rock solid.
Speaking of integrity, all this updating sounds like a lot of clicking. You drag the card, then you have to go comment, maybe set a due date. How do we get from being organized to being truly efficient?
This is where the pros really start to pull ahead.
Okay.
You shift your focus entirely to the keyboard. This is where quick actions come in.
You might know them as /commands.
So like assign or close?
Exactly. This is how you update basically all of the metadata without ever touching your mouse or even leaving the comment box.
I sometimes wonder about those though. Are they really faster, or is it just for the, the keyboard warrior who wants to look cool?
That's a fair question. There's a small learning curve, sure, but the efficiency gain is huge because it eliminates context switching.
What do you mean by that?
Think about it. You just finished your coding work. You go to the issue to write a comment explaining what you did. And right there, while you're typing, you can also type the command to update everything else.
So I can write my summary, and in the same text box, I can type assign a teammate to hand it off.
And milestone 2.1 to put it in the Ray release. And then just close to shut it down.
Okay, I get it. You don't have to interrupt your train of thought to go click through a bunch of drop-down menus.
You stay in the flow. You're focused on the content, not on
Fighting with the interface. That's the real time saver.
Right. And these issues, they don't live in a vacuum. Projects get complex, tasks depend on each other. So
Where do they live, and how do they talk to each other?
their permanent home is always inside a project. An issue belongs to one project, full stop.
But managers need to see across multiple projects.
And for that, the system lets you view all the issues at the group level. So you get that higher level cross-project overview.
And when they talk to each other, just marking them as related feels a bit weak sometimes.
It is. Related issues is just for context. The tool you need for serious dependency tracking is the blocking issue.
So this is a formal dependency.
Yes, this is issue B cannot be started, or at least it can't be closed until issue A is closed.
It's like digital construction management. You can't put the walls up until the foundation is poured.
Exactly. And it makes bottlenecks immediately visible to everyone. You can see precisely why a piece of work is stalled. It prevents a whole lot of wasted effort.
Okay, fine.
finally, we started this whole thing talking about the Git exam. We've covered the project management side. How do we connect the issue, the truth for the task, back to the code? The truth for the changes.
This is the final, beautiful, automated closing of the loop, and it happens right inside Git itself in the commit message.
Get a little note the developer writes to explain their code change.
Right. In that note, they just include a little bit of special syntax.
So if I just fix the bug that was described in issue number 45, I would write something like fixes hashtag 45 in my commit message.
Fixes hashtag 45, closes hashtag 45, there are a few keywords, but yes. And then, when that code is merged into the main branch,
The system sees that tag.
and automatically closes issue hashtag 45 for you.
Wow. So the act of shipping the code is the act of updating the project plan? That's fantastic.
It saves the developer a step, sure, but more importantly, it creates a permanent, unbreakable link between the code history and the project history. You have a perfect audit trail.
Okay, so let's boil this all down for you, the learner.
This isn't just about memorizing definitions for an exam. It's about learning how to automate an entire workflow. Let's do a rapid-fire summary of the 5 big ideas.
Think of this as the checklist
of power moves.
First, forget the word bug. The issue is your core unit of work. It's the container for everything.
Second, master your metadata. Use labels for categorization, but lean heavily on scope labels with the double colons to enforce a clean status and keep your data accurate.
Third, respect the time box. Milestones are how you group issues against a hard deadline. That's how you manage the win.
Fourth, embrace the visual. Your issue board isn't just a report, it's a dynamic tool. Dragging a card is the same as updating the label.
And finally, live in efficiency mode. Use quick actions, the / commands, to update everything from the keyboard, and always link your commits with fixes #45 to automate closing the loop.
And that's really the final insight here. The elegance of this whole system isn't just that issues exist, it's that all the architecture around them, the scope labels, the dynamic boards, the
Git integration, it all works together to actively fight against manual error and management overhead.
It transforms the issue from just a simple to-do item into the self-correcting engine of your entire
workflow. Something to mull on is just how much time you save when you let the system manage the flow for you.
Well said. We hope this deep dive helped accelerate your learning today.
See you next time.